If you're coming from the US or Canada, one of the major questions of 2026 will be, do you prefer somewhere like Mexico, who has massive lifestyle appeal? It has amazing food, it has some of the best beaches in the world. Or do you choose Panama, who may not be as hyped, but is usually on the safer, more predictable side for those people looking to invest in a country with huge upside? Let's get into it. Because let's be honest, Mexico has some huge positives. It has some of the best beaches in the world. For me, the food is hard to beat. But some real estate investors are wondering, with the recent things that have just happened, some things that happened with the cartel in Jalisco specifically, and all other places along where a lot of expats spend time or visit, a lot of big tourism markets, investors are wondering if the investment that they're looking at in real estate there is justified, especially for long-term plays. If you're looking at it from an investment perspective, will people still continue visiting my rental property? And if you're looking at it from a lifestyle perspective, if you're someone maybe with a family or a retiree or someone who just doesn't want to have to look over their shoulder, does Mexico make sense for you? So in this video, I want to break down the difference between Mexico and Panama and the type of buyer specifically coming from US, Canada, or Europe, which one might be right for you. Let me say this up front very clearly. Mexico is not a one-stop shop. It is not a one case fits all. You have markets like the ones that I mentioned earlier with kind of the outbreak that happened in February of 2026, which would be Jalisco. So you're looking at Puerto Vallarta, you're looking at the Riviera Maya, places like Tulum, Playa del Carmen, also happened over in Los Cabos. That is not all of Mexico. Mexico is huge and it's many stories. But I do want to talk about and focus a little bit on the areas where a lot of expats seem to find themselves, which would be the areas that I just mentioned. Mexico still offers huge opportunities, places that are beautiful to live, to invest. Mexico has an amazing tourism market. So let me start there. That's a major reason as to why Mexico remains as a huge magnet for both tourism and relocation. But crime is becoming a real issue that should be talked about. Not becoming, it's always been an issue, but as of recent, there have been some flare-ups, which I think are definitely worth mentioning. In Mexico, when you speak about crime, it's not just in the abstract. And honestly, the biggest concern for crime in Mexico is usually something very specific spilling over into daily life, spilling over into places where people spend time. So you're looking at violent crime there, usually cartel related, in areas where there's a lot of tourists. Things like that, organized crime can do two things. It can really mess with an investor who's thinking about the real estate investment. Is the tourism going to hold in that area? Are people going to continue to go down and rent from me? And from a lifestyle perspective, if it's not something that you're used to, if you're coming from Canada or the US where you're used to, just living your daily life, not really having to look over your shoulder, that's definitely something that is in the back of your mind as well. What I would say would be one of the most unsettling things about it is how quickly it can change because it is so ingrained into society. So what you saw with everything that happened with the killing of El Mencho and the capturing of some people within that cartel will be how quickly the cartel was able to put up roadblocks. Really affect specific areas where people couldn't fly out, you couldn't use airports. And I'm not gonna get into too many specifics, but that kind of being ingrained in the culture when it comes to a head and shows itself so quickly really can mess with people from a lifestyle perspective and also from an investment perspective. And not even that people expect to be targeted specifically. And when things spill over into daily life, it becomes unpredictable. And many people that are moving abroad, yes, they look for adventure and they look for, to get to know a new place, but they don't want that level of unpredictability. Okay, now let's look at Panama. And Panama is not some crime-free utopia. It has its places. Usually the places with the biggest, let's say, violent crime would be places where the normal person isn't going. So you'd be looking at places like the Darien Gap, the massive jungle that goes between Colombia and Panama, where the everyday person isn't going. And within Panama City, there's pockets. Like in any major city, there's pockets. I would never advise you to go swing through Corandú or Chorrillo or San Miguelito. They're just not places that a foreigner would typically go to, no? But in your everyday Panama life, specifically within Panama City, you're not encountering violent crime. There's petty crime. Maybe someone leaves a cell phone on the table and it's gone, which should also happen in a lot of places in the US or Canada. But that ingrained into society unpredictability in Panama is not there. So from the mentality of a North American, Panama often feels simpler, like the simpler option, because it's more predictable. And for many investors, that predictability is sometimes what wins out in the comparison game. So let's focus on that part. Let's focus on the investor mindset of Mexico versus Panama. So Mexico is very focused, again, depends on where, but Mexico has a very established tourism market. They focus on it. They do a beautiful job of service, and the food is amazing, and they're really, really tourism driven in a lot of the bigger areas that you or I would visit when we go. But Panama is increasingly attractive to investors who are looking for something stable, something conservative. Why? Many reasons. Panama's dollarized, so you don't have the exchange that can change on a daily basis. It's not fluctuating. 2, we're not dependent on tourism. Panama's not just tourism dependent. So when that part of the market maybe slows down or goes down, Panama is not as affected because we have a lot of business travel. We have a lot of other things that are driving people to Panama other than tourism. Panama is also a territorial based tax system, which is very attractive for Canadians who can become non-tax residents in Canada and are looking at setting up a tax residency in somewhere else like Panama. Because if you're not generating income in Panama, you're not paying tax on it. So Panama's story right now is not speculation or flashy. It's really stable and consistent. So which buyer is better suited for Mexico? Because I do think that there is a specific buyer that's better suited for Mexico than Panama and vice versa. Better suited for Mexico would be if you're super tourism focused, if that's your bread and butter, if that's what you like. The Caribbean, there's nothing like the Caribbean, no? Mexico has an amazing food scene. It has an amazing service scene. So when you go to Mexico, it is built for tourism. It's also, like I mentioned before, Mexico is not a one-stop shop. It's huge. So you have a huge variety. You have beaches, you have mountains, you have Mexico City, which is a world of its own. It's absolutely huge. It feels a little silly to compare a country which has around just under 140 million people, which is Mexico, to a country like Panama, which has just over 4.5 million, right? So that's what we're doing here, and I'm gonna try my best to do it, but keep that in perspective. Mexico, if you know it well enough to buy in the specific area, in the specific pocket, where you know you're safe and you know that crime doesn't happen there or as much, because no place is perfect, that would be who is best suited for Mexico. Panama, who is Panama best suited for? Panama is best suited for the more conservative buyer. So families, retirees, someone who, like I said, wants that consistency of the US dollar, doesn't feel as comfortable, having their head on a shoulder. Maybe you haven't traveled the world and you just want something that is safe and consistent. Panama also has really great infrastructure. If you get out driving in the middle of Mexico, not all of Mexico has great infrastructure, but the majority of Panama City and the surrounding areas will have really good infrastructure. And what's not good, the government is heavily investing in at the moment. Okay, so now that we've discussed a lot of different points, what's right for you, Panama or Mexico? And I don't think that there's a one-size-fits-all answer. It's going to depend a lot on you and what your preferences are. If you're someone who really likes the big vastness of a country that's huge and that you can explore all different pockets of it, and you're not intimidated by a number like 140 million people, Mexico might be right for you. If you're someone who's looking for predictability, for safety, and for connectivity, something that doesn't feel that different from home, Panama might be right for you. Another point to think over is if you're still working or if you're still generating income, where is that income being generated? Because one country is a territorial tax system. Panama is a territorial tax system where if your income is being earned from outside, you're not taxed on it in Panama. Mexico is not the same. So depending on where you are in terms of your work life, if you work remotely, if you can work remotely, if you can work internationally, that's something to think about as well. So which one is right for you? There's no one size fits all answer. It's going to depend a lot on you as a person. I would say the right answer for a 32-year-old worker who could remote work from anywhere is not going to be the same answer as a family with children, or even a retiree, or maybe even an investor that just wants their capital safe and consistent. And right now, Panama is making a stronger play than most people realize. And I just want you guys to know that we're talking about Panama and Mexico. And I've been now an expat for almost 12 years, and 3 of those years I actually spent doing real estate within Mexico. So within Mexico and Panama, so I can compare not all of Mexico real estate market, but I did real estate within the primary real estate markets for foreigners. So the Riviera Maya, Cabo, Jalisco, those types of areas. So I have a little bit of a background or personal experience that I can share with you. So if you're here, you know the deal. If you're looking for real estate in Panama, be sure to reach out. My phone number is on this video, my email is on this video. Also, if you scroll down to the text box, you're gonna find a link there where you can inquire. My team is here ready to serve you, ready to find you the perfect place, whether it's for an investment or for your relocation here in Panama.